is a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe, and it is in alright shape. Customer complaint, no AC. It doesn't blow cold, and they suspect that there's no refrigerant in the system. Upon further inspection, came in, popped the hood, AC caps have been off. Somebody's been playing around with the AC. They cleaned up some of the lines, it looks like, a little bit around the valve cores. But if you look at the cowl, there's a big problem. That's the fresh air intake up there for this vehicle. Part of it anyway. And it is completely clogged up with pine needles and whatever else has decided to make a home up there. So let's dig into it. I'm about to hook the machine up to it, see if there's actually any refrigerant. Alright, I got the machine all hooked up. In case you need to know, there's a high side, there's your low side down here. There is some pressure in it, but you can't really go by pressures in Alabama. The humidity really screws everything up. So we're going to evacuate it down and see what we got. I have so many projects in the shop. That is an 88 Blazer. I'm rebuilding the HVAC box on below the dash. Out there is a 68 Chrysler 300. I rebuilt the engine on it, and now I'm just putting it all back together. Right here is a Toyota Sienna. I've got to do a timing belt on it. And over there is my big boy project, the Jaguar, that doesn't ever want to leave my shop. No shortage of work over here. Alright, so as you can see, we pulled out 1.437 ounces. Oh, we pulled out an ounce of oil, and the vehicle holds that. So clearly somebody's been in here overcharging. So as you can see, somebody's been in there, they've overcharged the system, probably used one of those top-off cans from the auto store, which you should never do, especially if it's got stop leak in it. The ones without stop leak are getting very hard to find and very expensive. So the way I like to do automotive AC is I like to verify customer's concern as I'm driving it into the shop. Test all the blend doors, mode doors, blower, everything you can think of inside the cab to verify the concern. And then once I do verify the concern, I pop the hood obviously, and I hook the machine to it. I do an initial pressure reading, but the pressure readings you can't really go by anymore. Those are basically for R12 in perfect shop environments, enclosed with AC, whole 9 yards. You just can't go by them completely. So what I do then is I verify by hooking the machine up that there is pressure in the system. I evacuate it. I weigh with the machine how much refrigerant is in the system, and I measure how much oil comes out of the machine. And then I refill it back to, well, let me rephrase that. Then I draw a vacuum on it for 10 minutes, let it hold a vacuum for 10 minutes. If it passes the initial integrity check, then I will recharge it properly and retest the system. Sometimes I've had a lot in the past where customers will say it's not blowing as cold as it should be, but it's a case of clogged venting or a bad cabin filter, something simple like that. So what I'll do is after I do the initial checks, and if it passes the initial vacuum holding check, then I'll refill it to the proper amount per vehicle manufacturer specs, and then I will proceed to second check the customer's concern. Sometimes that fixes it, and that's all it was. They just felt it was just a little too warm and there was actually nothing wrong with the system. So a lot of people don't understand that you have to go by temperature variance. So it's usually a 30-degree variant is what you want your interior vents to produce versus the exterior of the general air outside. So once you confirm all that, then you can actually start diagnosing into, whether it's an electrical problem, whether there's a failed component or a clog in the system. Just, you can run through your checks and balances. So stick with me and we'll have an update. Alright, so the vehicle held a vacuum. I ran a 10-minute vacuum and it's holding it, as you can see here. So now we're going to recharge it and go from there with diagnosing, see what happens. So we're going to put 1.3 pounds in it. I'm going to charge. Zero, 1, 3, 0. We're going to charge and we're going to retest the customer's concern, see if that changes anything. Alright, so we charged the AC. Still no cold air. Everything seems to be working. But let me show you what I got. So, it's hard to see, but way down there is the compressor. Clutch is off. I walk into the car, turn the AC button on, clutch is now rolling. It's very hard to see in the camera, so I apologize for that. So that tells me that we have electrical integrity, but the problem is it's not compressing. And when you check the lines coming out of the condenser all the way down here, there should be a temperature difference. One should be hotter than the other, approximately 50-degree difference. The problem is they're both the exact same temperature, and that is ambient temperature. This compressor is doing absolutely nothing. It is dead in the water. So because of that, we're going to recommend a compressor, and if we find the so-called Black Death, you guys know what I'm talking about, then we're going to recommend a condenser, flush the evaporator in the system, and an expansion block to go with it. But you should always try to get them to do a installation kit, which is an installation kit comes with a compressor, a minimum of a drying sock if you can, or a dryer depending on what your vehicle has, and also the expansion block. So, and it usually comes with service valves and a few O-rings if you find a leak. So that's where we're at. I'll let you know what they decide.